ज्ञानं दिवाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। Welcome everyone to this transcendental program of studying Bhagavad Dharma called the Param Dharma. The highest ultimate duty of humankind. Even if something is considered as duty, the purpose is to cause the perfection of our human potential. And duty is allotted in accordance to one's potential. So, to be duty oriented or to be serious about performing one's duty is not it should not be perceived as a burden. It should be perceived as an opportunity to realize joy, eternal bliss. And the means to attain it, means of attaining it is the love of Krishna. Wow. Until now we have only heard that love of Krishna is the goal, correct, at the end. But ultimately, love of Krishna is not the ultimate aim. Because without love of Krishna, we won't be able to experience the eternal bliss, the ultimate goal of life. Just something came to the memory. Somebody was asked, what would you rather have? Love of Krishna or Krishna? If Krishna is available to you, available to one, you go there and you will get Krishna. Or love for Krishna. Krishna, to get Krishna, ultimately everybody aspires to get Krishna. But why one who would aspire, who would hanker to get Krishna? Only one who has love for him. Without having love for Krishna, one will not value Krishna. Just as we heard that the Asuras, the demons also get to see Krishna, touch Krishna. And in spite of that, because of the lack of love for Krishna, they don't get to experience the sweetness of Krishna. So love of God is the means to attain or to experience, to be able to experience the sweetness of Krishna. And at the highest level, to be able to experience Krishna at the highest level, because on our own, independently, even if one gets Krishna, or even out of love of Krishna, because those who love Krishna, Krishna makes himself eventually available to him in reciprocation. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. But in spite of having love of Krishna, to induce Krishna or to make Krishna appear and reciprocate, one is not able to experience, one won't be able to experience Krishna at the highest level. So, how to be able to experience the unlimitedness of Krishna's sweetness? Because if endeavor we have to make, or if some means we have to utilize some way, then one should go for the ultimate, isn't it? That's where the Mahaprabhu's appearance comes in the picture. It is not that previously in previous yugas since eternity, the sadhakas did not attain the Supreme. They did. But in spite of attaining the Supreme, they could not be, they could not experience the sweetness of Krishna at the highest level. And who experiences Krishna's sweetness at the highest level? Srimati Radharani. Sri Radharani is non different from Krishna. Radharani and Krishna, they are not two. Radha Krishna Eka Atma. In identity they are one. But because they are supreme, Supreme One, they have decided to manifest as one couple. So, as a couple, Radharani is playing the role as a lover, and Krishna is a beloved. Primarily. Why we say primarily? Because it is not that Krishna does not love Radharani. So then, Radharani is the beloved for Krishna, and Krishna is a lover. What is a lover? Radharani rules the supreme. As lover, Krishna feels no match to Srimati Radharani. Just as Krishna has said that I am subdued or I am under the control, Shashan, under the control of my devotees. But when it comes to Radharani, he is not only under the control of her, but he is trapped. Shashit hona, Vashibhut hona. Shashit means to be under control. But Vashibhut means now he cannot get out of there. He doesn't want to get out of there. That's where the difference between Leela and pastime is. Pastime, as the word itself says, which makes Krishna pass the time. Why? Although he is under the control of his devotees of different kinds, different mellows, but he's always absorbed in the thought of how to be with Srimati Radharani. And when he is with Srimati Radharani, he doesn't want time to pass. So ultimately, if you consider the identity of Sri Krishna, Swarupa, that is Ujjval Rasa. And so the connoisseur of Rasa, Rasika Shekhar, Krishna is the topmost relisher of mellows, and his fulfillment, his full fulfillment is caused in conjugal dealing, loving dalliance with Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani alone is able to fulfill all the proclivities of Krishna, more than he imagines even. The expression of the variegatedness of Srimati Radharani is loving sentiments, bhava, is so drowning and overwhelming even Krishna. And he wonders, how can I experience what Radharani experiences in loving me? So see the difference. So as a lover, Radharani rules the supreme. So in disposition, in Rupa, Radharani controls Krishna completely. Under the subjugation of Radharani, Krishna is. And that subjugated appearance or demeanor of Krishna is most beautiful. To those who are most confidential maid servants of Srimati Radharani. So that is the mood. Only to fulfill or fulfill the manobhishta or the heart's desire of Mahaprabhu to bestow that level of love or bestow that possibility whereby a living entity like us are also made capable to experience the sweetness of Krishna at the level, at the highest level. And when it comes to highest level, it comes to the level at which Radharani experiences the sweetness of Krishna. The means which was devised by Mahaprabhu after he experienced the unlimitedness of Krishna's sweetness by adopting the sentiments of Srimati Radharani. And of course, as Radharani shares her experience with her confidential maidservant, so Mahaprabhu devised a way that yes, if one attains the confidential maidservanthood of Srimati Radharani, then even living entity like us are able to experience. So achieving that fortune of Radhadasyam is the only purpose of studying this Bhagavad Dharma. What we are studying in the writings of our predecessor Acharyas, and currently we are studying Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Prema Bhakti, to become blessed with the Prema Bhakti of the highest nature. So this Prema Bhakti Chandrika so elaborately exposes that fortune, available fortune. It is not something one can become blessed with, the possibility, full possibility, certain possibility. In previous 2-3 shlokas, for that very purpose, to have our eternal residence in Vrindavan was emphasized, correct? Because our aspiration to have our happy abode or happy residence anywhere else outside Vrindavan is just a form of miserable sense gratification, as we studied. And the purpose of staying in Vrindavan is to be able to serve the divine couple, Sri Radha Govinda. So in that line, and for that, fulfilling that purpose, we studied that even the abode Vrindavan, it has manifested. For in order that we can associate, we can visit there, we can stay eventually and develop our divine affinity and divine appreciation for the Dhamma. But the purpose is to attain the eternal loving service of the lotus feet of the divine couple Sri Radha Shyam Sundar. That's why as human being we are very proud of our intelligence. So the proposal is which practitioner who wishes for his own ultimate benefit would not want to live in this Vrindavan Dhama, where the means and the goal meet each other. That's the beautiful. So what we do as a sadhaka in Vrindavan is no different. In sadhaka stage as a practitioner, we may feel some struggle or because we have no ruchi, no interest, but as we aspire to get ruchi and ultimately the asakti means ruchi means taste and asakti means attachment. to the sublime fortune of to be able to serve the divine couple's lotus feet. So with that very singular purpose to fulfill, to achieve, to attain that singular fortune of Sri Radha Dashyam, a serious practitioner wishes for his ultimate benefit to live in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So that was the importance of Brajavasa. And being Brajavasa, a practitioner is advised that one should hanker for it, yearning for pure devotional service. Because only when one has focus or yearning or hankering for the ultimate thing, then one will not be perturbed by other situations. Other situations or other circumstances can influence us only when we are not absorbed or focused sufficiently in the ultimate thing. Although in a conditioned state, the living entity may be engrossed in many pools of desires, of previous sanskaras. But the part of performing pure devotional service is to constantly beg for the mercy and the shelter and the protection of Sri Krishna. That is very, very essential. So that conviction has to be there, that Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krit Hoy. The only means, or the ultimate means, to become fearless even while living in this material existence, which creates so many fearful situations. But if one safeguards and through engagement in pure devotional atmosphere or fervor, and especially feeling the touch of Sri Vrindavan Dham, and once one has come this far, one can simply beg, Srimati Radharani, let me stay in Vrindavan. We need protection. Please save me. Please save me. We have come this far. It's not that we don't need further dose of mercy. We constantly need. We always sustain our hunger for more mercy by digesting whatever mercy we have received, because ultimate mercy is yet to come. So with that understanding, we pray, and in last Sloka especially, that is what we discussed, correct? Yearning for devotional service. And in today's Sloka, even while yearning for devotional service, what we are hankering after or aspiring is so high, so priceless. So we need we have to express our incapacitatedness, our fallenness. And because Krishna is Patita Pavan, so who gets the blessing to become purified? Only one who acknowledges one's fallen condition. So in previous shloka, the the sentiment expressed by Narottama Thakur is so sublime. You know, he says that I always desire devotional service and I have great faith. In this way, I am always free from fear. Narottam Das Thakur says, I have fallen in a pit of false desires. O Lord Sri Krishna, please save me. Save me from the trap, the possibility of getting trapped by false desires. Although, very consciously, we all agree that we desire pure devotional service. And we have also come to the level of sufficient faith. And having taken shelter of the divine couple, we don't fear other situations because Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. Why should we fear anything? Because we have taken shelter of the path of pure devotional service. Still, the residual effect of our ignorance or even the proclivity for false desires could still linger on. A sadhaka should never think that he has become so pure that how now is free from fear. Even the stalwart purest devotees, they never had that or claiming that now we have become completely free from fear. Of course, they have attained stay free from fear, but as far as the influence of false desires, how to one may have become free from fear having taken shelter of pure devotional service. But what about, should one think, can one afford to think that no, I have become so pure, I'm just free from all material desires or anything? Rather, he is still engulfed by so many material tendencies and proclivities. So we constantly pray, please save me from the possibility of falling in a pit of false desires, correct? So within the process of yearning for pure devotional service, sadhaka is always aware that Krishna, anything that can deprive me to attain the fervor of pure devotional service is the pull of false desires, because we have been used to having such desires, such aspirations for so long, and even in our present life situation, as if we cannot do away with many of the tendencies. So we have to constantly pray to be saved. Who is saved? Who is saved? One who does not think that he is so capable and so pure that he doesn't need any protection. Rather, it's the other way around. One should think oneself is very fallen. And we have been fallen since eternity, even in the present situation. How can we hanker for the mercy if one does not think that one is fallen? So it's a great achievement. It's a great if a sadhaka can think of oneself as fallen in a pit of false desires, just to attract the ultimate mercy of Krishna. Because without acknowledging one's fallen situation, how can we beg? How can we hanker for the mercy? A person who does not think that he is fallen or impure is not able to hanker for the mercy. He thinks that he has become qualified. Krishna says, okay, now you are on your own. So without attaining Krishna, without attaining Sri Radhadasyam, if a sadhak takes this risk of thinking that one has become so pure and so safe, then he loses the fervor to attract the ultimate mercy of Krishna. And that's why even Narottam Das Thakur, although he himself is the embodiment of prema, he humbly considers himself an ordinary practitioner with so many bad habits. So he says he has fallen in a ditch of asat bhole or false desires and cannot keep the desire for devotional service awake within his heart. The What are those desires? The temptations. The temptations after temporary matters of this phenomenal world. You know, there are many also. If one starts counting, one can feel. And the trap of or temptations after temporary desires, temporary matters of this world are also means they can engulf us, they can drown us, they can distract us, no matter what the person is. It is said even big scholars, wise, qualified and learned personalities are unable to escape from their grasp, the grasp of unwanted desires, and are floating in a current of desires for false matters, heading towards an ocean of suffering. The cause of our suffering is that we become entangled. Anything which we think we deserve, then we start claiming. And claiming causes the bondage. Acknowledgement of mercy is liberating. Claiming is bondage. This sutra should be written, should be contemplated upon. Actually, we have absolutely nothing to claim. For to establish our qualifiedness, only thing we can and we should acknowledge the causeless mercy of the divine couple, causeless mercy of Sri Guru Gauranga. Only in accordance to our identity as the eternal servant of Krishna or eternal would be made servant of Srimati Radharani. How much spiritual conditioning of a conditioned soul? Do they work on us? It's very difficult. All the good advice has gone in vain before these false desire take over. They arise from the Lord's powerful illusory potency that consists of three modes of material nature. Therefore, the personal endeavors of the insignificant living entity will not be sufficient to be saved from the grip of these desires. A sadhaka should become aware of this, that on my own I may not be able to protect myself. So we have to beg Koro Mahashaya, addressing Krishna, that you are all capable. Your heart is very magnanimous. So we need your involvement. So we have to beg Krishna to become involved. Mama Maya Duratya, very, very difficult to surmount the influence of the three modes of this material nature. But one who takes shelter of it, Mami way, one who takes exclusive shelter of me and surrender. True. So what is the nature of that surrender? That will be discussed in today's Sloka. Then they cross over the influence of the clutch of the material energy. No one has the power to escape from these sensual false material desires other than through the grace of Sri Krishna. Only through the grace with those false material desires. Hence the prayer to become free from these sensual asadbhola, sensual temptations, temporary material desires. So we need constantly the shelter or begging for the shelter of Krishna in order to stay free from the influence of these unwanted desires which have become so normal for the conditioned soul. But as a sadhaka, our Guru Vargas, the teachers, these predecessor acharyas, they are providing us the perfect guideline. The sadhaka is also a conditioned soul, but he knows the means, he knows how to conduct. Sadhaka on the path of pure devotional service. So because his target is to become a pure devotee. So, and if he remains very fixed in the process of pure devotional service, uh, staying engaged all the times in different aspects of pure devotional service, then begging the shelter of Krishna all the times, never thinking that he has become so capable or so pure that now he is on his own. We cannot afford to remain on our own. That's the point. We should write, we or I cannot afford to remain on my own. No, we want to involve Krishna. We also, Mahashaya is also, like Nautam Das Thakur is addressed Mahashaya. Why? Because he has the greatest aspiration in his heart to attain the eternal shelter of Srimati Radharani as a choicest maid servant to Srimati Radharani. So, on that criterion, anyone who aspires to be a choicest maid servant of Srimati Radharani, or only aspiration to become a choicest maid servant of Srimati Radharani, is also Mahashaya. And that great Mahashaya Narottam Das Thakur, he is not calling himself Mahashaya, but other stalwart devotees, actually, Jiva Goswami gave him the title Mahashaya. Srinivas Acharya title was given to Srinivas. Shyamanand Pandit, no? Shyamanand Pandit. That was the title given to Shyamanand. But he himself is addressing Krishna as Mahashaya, indicates that Sri Krishna's ashaya or heart or anything which is in the heart is very great or generous. He knows that the insignificant living entities have fallen into the trap of the powerful external illusory energy, and they have become made about mundane flavors, bereft of any energy to perform spiritual practices. Krishna knows our incapacitatedness. If he does not save the conditioned souls with his causeless mercy, bestowing some of the relish of his own worship on them, and if he does not save them from the asad bhola means temptations for the false temporary things of these mundane flavors, there will be no way for them to find redemption. And then the most generous Mahashaya, Sri Krishna is, he is very liberal. He is not miserly. No, I won't give. But one has to beg for it. Only hankering is the only price. Hankering is the only way to attain that necessary, essential mercy of Krishna. Because one has to value the mercy of Krishna or the protection of Krishna. If we value it, then to achieve it, we have to hanker for it. And then, so Krishna is liberal, Mahashaya, is very magnanimous in his heart with regard to the distribution of his grace. And how he distributes his grace? He devises the means. Firstly, Guru Rupe Grihe Grihe Diksha Deya Sabhakare. He manifests in the lives of the conditioned souls as a human being, as Sri Guru. And he provides the spiritual Diksha initiation, makes himself available for all the conditioned souls if they are ready. Then Vaishnava Rupete Diya Siksha, as Vaishnavas, all Vaishnavas, they provide us the education. Of course, the person who we take initiation from, take shelter, he is perceived as the best among the Vaishnavas. Not just one of the great Vaishnava, but the best. And if we appreciate somebody as the blessed or the most blessed, we will not hesitate to take shelter of. So that perception, that appraisal must be there for the sadhaka about the person he takes shelter of. Because otherwise, if he is compared with others, then the duality comes. In comparison, somebody has to be perceived as greater or less, na? But when the person we take shelter of, he has to be perceived, he must be perceived as the most blessed. Because, and that perception will come only when we gain the appreciation of the status of the person at that level. What that person means to us, what we have benefited from, what blessing, what vision, what enlightenment, what awakening has come in our life due to that person. And so the sense of indebtedness, the sense of gratitude, when it reaches such a high level that we become 24/7 involved with the thought of that person. That is the stage of asakti. And that's where he is perceived as non-different or even more than God for us. That is the stature of the spiritual master. That is the perception disciple can have. Atma रूपे अधिष्ठान देखो तारे कार्य बा upeksha. Not only a Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru, he comes in sadhaka's life, but he is residing all the times. As long as the living entities in this material world, he is residing as a witness in the heart. Dekho tare kareba apik, and he never ignores. So in the form of the Guru, he goes from house to house to give initiation to everyone. In the form of the Vaishnava, all Vaishnavas are Siksha Gurus. No? He instructs everyone. In the form of the scriptures, he speaks transcendental knowledge. In the form of the super soul, he resides in everyone's heart. Just see, who is left out by him? Nobody. Dadami buddhi yogam tam ye namam upayantite. Krishna is ready to make himself available, but he will not force himself. But rather, he is devising so many ways to become available, to come in the life of us, ours. And Krishna says, I will give him every living entity, anybody who approaches me or who wants my help, I will give him the divine intelligence through which the devotee can come to me. Wow! Krishna is no less eager to receive us, to make us most fortunate potentially. He is the Father, he is the most merciful Father from that point of view. And so he is ready. Are we ready enough? That's the point. And in today's Sloka, in order to attract that ultimate mercy of Krishna, in supplication, the sadhaka is begging that bestow mercy upon me, the fallen. And in how wonderful today's Sloka is. It's so amazingly powerful, and our reality check will be done today. Tumi to dayar sindhu adhama janara bandhu mohe prabhu koro avadhana. Please notice me. Please, I'm addressing something, so please notice me. पड़ीनु असत भोले काम तिमिंगले गिले ओहे नाथ कोरो परित्राण. One word again gets repeated in today's sloka. What is it? Asat bhole. Asat bhole means temptation of unwanted or asat, temporary mundane desires. Padinu means fallen in the temptation, fallen or trapped by the temptation of unwanted material desires. Like kama timing gile, kam in the form of lust. Timingila, timingila means a big fish. In the ocean, there are big fishes, but timingil is that fish which devours even the big fish, so big. So this lust kama devours. Ohe nathe kuru paritrana. So our situation in this material existence world is so precarious. We are following this ocean of nescience, ocean of birth and death and all the miseries, and this lust is going to devour us. You are the ocean of mercy and the friend of the fallen. O Lord, please notice me. I'm in such a precarious position. What is a precarious position? I have fallen in a ditch of false desires, and I am swallowed by the whale of lust. What an analogy. I have fallen in a ditch of false desires, and I am swallowed by the whale of lust. O Lord, save me. Mercy on me, the fallen. So, addressing in the last sloka also, the Nautam Das Thakur addressed Krishna as Mahashay. Mahashay means magnanimous. Maha also comes in Mahaprabhu. Namo Mahavadanyaya. So, most magnanimous, compassionate one, and aspires for his mercy. So, if somebody is so magnanimous, so compassionate one, then we can receive the mercy, correct? So, he aspired for his mercy so that he may be freed from mundane sensual engagements. Wow. So after calling Lord Sri Krishna Mahashay, the magnanimous one, so the purpose of addressing Krishna is Mahashay. He just wants to make sure that no one will think anyone to be more generous or more magnanimous than Krishna by saying Tumito Dayara Sindhu. In today's sloka, in the continuation of last sloka, after addressing Krishna as Mahashay, that's why the exclusive full shelter we should take of Krishna. Because he just wants to make sure that no one will think anyone to be more generous than Krishna by saying Tumito Dayara Sindhu. You are the ocean of compassion. Just as the ocean is boundless, bottomless and hard to cross, similarly, Lord Sri Krishna's compassion is endless and boundless. What to speak of the ordinary creatures? Even Brahma, Shiva and Ananta cannot find the end to his attributes like compassion. For the living entities, there is no other way to touch even a drop of this boundless ocean of compassion. On our own, there is no way that we can touch even a drop of this boundless ocean of compassion Krishna is. So this compassion of Krishna, how we will become benefited from? If on our own we have no way to touch even a drop of this boundless ocean of compassion. So one has to become aware that Sri Krishna showers the living entities with his compassion in two ways. That's where the satsang comes to our rescue. Satsang educates us, satsang, association of pure devotees. And our affinity, our attachment to be in satsang all the time, it gives us the best option to move forward with, So we become aware that Krishna showers the living entities with his compassion in two ways. What is the first way? Mayamayi. Mayamayi is material manifestation. So this manifestation of this material realm with all its faults and things, it is only to cause the living entity eventually to perceive the mercy of Krishna. Because the living entity is so engrossed since eternity in sense gratification. So Krishna does not provide this or creates this material existence to fulfill their material desires. Since eternity, this arrangement is already there. But someday, when they come to the human species of life and attains the association of pure devotees, then they can think of the better option. So Krishna is not depriving or just suppressing the desires of the living entities to be happy in the material world, but as the material nature is, its nature is to cause the misery to the living entity. However, greatly one has been hankering for material sense gratification, it is Krishna's causeless mercy that to provide that experience to the living entities again and again that it is a place of misery. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Even if one does not agree that this is a place of misery, it's just a matter of time. Our youthful situation changes into old age and disease and all these things. So whatever perception we may have been having previously about this world, very positive, very hopeful, to be creating dreamland or creating empire and different things. With change of time, everything just falls apart. That's the nature of this material world. So how Krishna's compassion, even in creating material existence, it is the demonstration of Krishna's mercy only. And another is Swarupa Shaktimai. Through the association of devotees, pure devotees, one becomes aware, one becomes enlightened about his identity as the eternal servant of Krishna. And then the Swarup Shakti, Krishna's internal potency, especially the Hladini Shakti, combined with the Samvit Shakti. Hladini means pleasure-giving potency of Krishna, and the Samvit which causes the experience of bliss. So that is the function, and that compassion is also perceived by the living entity. So compassion, Krishna showers the living entities with his compassion in two ways. First is Mayamayi. Second is Swarupa Shaktimai. Compassion that is shown through the gate of the illusory energy is called Mayamayi Karuna. Compassion that is shown through the gate of the illusory energy is called Mayamayi Karuna. This Mayamayi Karuna is not even, is it any less? No, it is also tremendous. It's just a matter of time when the living entity will be enlightened about the education that who is in control. Wow, Krishna is so capable to provide this whole material existence for our sense gratification. Then there should be some sense of gratitude, some appreciation should be there. But it will come only when what comes across the association of pure devotees. So this Mayamai Karuna, Krishna's compassion through the manifestation of the material existence is no less, is also prayers. And then there are two kinds of spirit souls. Although spirit souls are countless, but they are divided into categories. And that belong to his marginal potencies. Two categories of living entities which are part of his marginal potency. So we are a small small being of one energy of Krishna, that's just a marginal energy. And in that, two categories. Nitya Mukta, eternally liberated, and others are Nitya Baddha. Means Nitya Mukta means Nitya means eternal. So if somebody eternally liberated means never to be come in bondage. Nitya means eternal. So if somebody is eternally liberated, there is no possibility, no occasion, because he is liberated eternally. How can one be eternally liberated if there is a possibility of becoming conditioned? No way. So, although the living entities as part of Krishna's marginal potency are countless, but they are divided in two categories. Nitya Mukta means eternally liberated, and second is Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned since eternity. Eternally conditioned, not for eternity. So there is a possibility. So those who are eternally liberated, whenever, since eternity, or just yesterday or today, or whenever they become liberated, they become eternally liberated. But as long as they remain conditioned, although they have been conditioned since eternity, but there is a possibility of becoming liberated. So our remaining condition since eternity need not go up for eternity. We have the opportunity to break away from it. So since time immemorial, the aggregate of living entities have been divided into these two categories. Those who are eternally liberated are eternally absorbed in the bliss of Sri Krishna's devotional service and will remain so forever. So who resides in the supreme eternal abode of the Lord? Eternally liberated entities. And that's why nobody falls from the spiritual realm. Because there is already innumerable, countless living entities which are which are which are conditioned. So they need the opportunity to become liberated, correct? And this is how Krishna has devised the ways and the means so that the conditioned souls, conditioned since eternity, can get the opportunity again and again and again to become eternally liberated. So the aggregate of eternally conditioned souls, what is their nature? They are averse to Sri Krishna. They have been averse to Krishna since eternity. Since beginningless of time. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma, since before the beginning of time. Have you heard? Since before the beginning of time. So the time frame comes in the picture only as a manifestation of this material world. It began at a particular time, then it just passes and disappears. Like the cloud is formed at one particular time in the sky. Then they last only until they pour out, correct? Then they disappear. So this aggregate of eternally conditioned souls, they are averse to Krishna since eternity. And as a result of that, they have forgotten his service, although they are his eternal servants in identity, and desire independent enjoyment. So through the agency of his illusory potency, the Lord is so kind to provide an abode of enjoyment for these hankering souls. that are averse to him. Wow. In the form of material bodies and material worlds. Although desires for enjoyment are never fulfilled by actual enjoyment, still as a result of hellish suffering caused by the enjoyment, the living entity becomes distressed and remorseful. And by the grace of the sadhus and the guru, he or she becomes inclined towards Krishna. So as we have discussed many times, in a person's life, even as a human being, satsang will be the only difference maker. If that difference has not come, if that difference has not transpired in the life of a human being, then he still remains deprived. So after going through this experience of a miserable situation, distressful and remorseful situation, what is the rescue? Only by the grace of sadhus and the guru he becomes inclined towards Krishna. He comes to know there is another option. Although that inquisitiveness remains only in human being, he wants to get over the miserable situation of this material existence. But only sadhus have the solution, has the direction. Sadhus have the direction. So by the grace of the sadhus and the guru, he becomes inclined towards Krishna. Then as the result of his bhajana, he will be blessed forever with the attainment of loving devotional service. So that's why if Krishna had not created this material existence, as if apparently Swamatra, it appears that Krishna has created this material existence only for the enjoyment. Matra means sense gratification. Swamatra or Atma Prasiddha, ultimate purpose is that to attain the perfection of human potential, to cause that possibility, to provide that facility and opportunity. Krishna created this material world. Swamatra, not only just for sense gratification, Atma Prasiddha, ultimate purpose. So if Krishna had not created this cosmic field of enjoyment for the living, for the conditioned souls, through his illusory potency, they would remain averse to him forever. Correct? They would remain averse. What Krishna has done for me? At least through sadhu sang, he comes to know Krishna has been so liberal. Although I have been desiring horribly, negative and unwanted, still Krishna did not deprive me. What is the biggest liberty, if you want to call independence, the freedom of choice, correct? Although Krishna knows what is best for us, but he lets us make our own choice, because the trap in the sense gratification, material desires, is so strong that if one is not allowed to make his own choice, if one is not allowed to make his mistake, if somebody is after our case, somebody climbs our shoulder and keeps telling us, no, this is go right, not left, go left, not right, and like this, and we'll feel like ghosted by that person. We say, get the hell out of here. So if Krishna interferes with the free will of the conditioned soul, and he will not appreciate, and that's why Krishna does not bother. He just lets the living entity make his own options. But what Krishna fears to do, I use the word fear. Krishna frees oneself, anybody, from the fear. But what Krishna fears to do, because if Krishna becomes too involved with the living entity, even to cause his good, the living entity is not ready for Krishna, so they will hate Krishna, even if Krishna wants the best, gives the best direction to them. And Krishna is Achyuta. If Krishna tells something, or if Krishna wants something from somebody, then he has to agree with it. No? But Krishna knows that conditioned souls, they will deny him, they will defy him also. They will say, get off me. That's why what Krishna fears, his devotees take the risk. Devotees don't mind. Devotees insult people, conditioned souls insulting them, calling names on them. Still again and again on behalf of Krishna, without waiting for the inspiration from Krishna, without getting order from Krishna. Oh, if I feel the inspiration from Krishna, I will go out and preach. No. They go out of their ways, not caring for the insult, or not getting accepted or honored or something like that. So, Krishna has created this, the material existence. Its purpose is served, or its purpose is realized, because in this material world itself, of course, Krishna manifests once in a while, many times, but also his devotees also are found in this material world. So any conditioned soul has the possibility as a human being to come across the association of pure devotees, Vaishnavas, and become Krishna connected. So that fortune, so that possibility is a kind of tremendous mercy of the Lord. So that's why I said, if Sri Krishna had not created this cosmic field of enjoyment for the living entities through his illusory potency, they would remain averse to him forever. Through his illusory potency, he has again created this huge universe with water, wind, the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, and different pleasurable ingredients for the maintenance of the living entities. And that is it less compassionate of Krishna? No. It's tremendous. But one thing is missing here. That's why two kinds of karuna or compassion of Krishna. All this tremendous manifestation. Is it less compassion of Krishna? But it is huge. But still it is not complete. So the another nature of Krishna, another kind of compassion, because this tremendous endeavor to manifest this world with so much variety and so many things and beauty and objects of sense gratification. But even through this, the living entities cannot become liberated from the material world. Although the material manifestation, providing all the means and everything, although it is a tremendous compassion itself, but it is not sufficient. Even through this, but through this, the living entities cannot become liberated from the material world. In this way, the living entity who is constitutionally the eternal servant of Krishna cannot find his real self and become blessed with the loving service of his eternal Lord Sri Krishna. Then what to do? Then comes the second mercy is, what is the second mercy? Swarup Shakti Mai. Hence the second, and through the intrinsic means Swarup, potency, intrinsic means Swarup Shakti Mai. Through the intrinsic potency and with the aid of Sri Guru and Vaishnava's grace, the combined mission of the Swarup Shakti. What kind of Swarup Shakti? The function, the vehicle of his pleasure potency combined with his cognitive or knowledge, Samvit Shakti. See, it's very interesting. What is the function of the Swarup Shakti of Krishna? Swarup Shakti is constantly engaged to increase the joy of Krishna. So, in order to increase the joy of Krishna, and what is the joy of Krishna? Krishna relishes the purest devotional fervor churning in the heart of a pure devotee. So, all the pure devotees' sentiments, loving flavors Krishna has been experiencing, but he's never tired of experiencing newer and newer flavor. So, to provide Krishna newer and newer flavors of pure devotional fervor, there has to be the coming of more and more pure devotees, correct? So the function of Krishna's Swarup Shakti primarily is Hladini Shakti, pleasure-giving potency combined with his cognitive potency, and so what they do. So through the intrinsic potency and with the aid of Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. So the Swarup Shakti of Krishna with the aid of Sri Guru and Vaishnava's grace, the Lord bestows devotion, which is a vehicle of his pleasure potency, which is a devotion. What is devotion? What is the definition of devotion? Devotion is a vehicle of his pleasure potency. Active principle of his pleasure potency combined with his cognitive. The three aspects of Swarup Shakti, Hladini, Sandhini, Samvit. Hladini, pleasure giving. Sandhini is which manifests the material spiritual atmosphere aboard and everything else. And Samvit means which causes the experience. So only when the devotion or the love of prema, which is distributed by the pleasure potency of Krishna combined with cognitive energy. So when the living entity's heart or consciousness becomes purified, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udaya. So the pleasure potency combined with the cognitive Samvit Shakti, they are showering this love all over, but that love gets registered only when the consciousness of the heart becomes sufficiently purified through the process of this sadhana bhakti. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaya Udaya. Uday means becomes eligible to be registered. So in Shuddha Sattva, when the heart and consciousness becomes purified enough through Shuddha Bhajan, without any aparadhas, then that love which is being distributed, it becomes distributed only when it becomes registered. So in order to become registered, the heart and consciousness have to be purified. And that's why this Swarup Shakti combined with the aid of Sri Guru and Vaishnava's grace, the Lord bestows devotion, which is a vehicle of his pleasure potency and cognitive potency on them. Personally, descending within the material world, he displays his transcendental pastimes, including his names and attributes that are all ingredients for the conditioned soul's bhajana or devotional practices. And thus he blesses them by giving them the gift of prema and his personal loving service. That all this mercy of his is all pervading and immense, is merely indicated in the word Dwaya Sindhu. So Krishna is the ocean. Ocean denotes unlimitedness, immense. Actually, the immensity of his compassion makes millions upon millions of ocean seem insignificant. It's a figurative expression just to make us appreciate the unlimitedness, because in material context, although ocean is perceived as unlimited, but it has limit, correct? That's why. But the ocean of Krishna's compassion has no limit, and that's why the immensity of his compassion makes millions upon millions of oceans seem insignificant because they have limit. So one who has no limit, one that has no limit, is in compared to one, however humongous, even the Pacific Ocean or all the oceans, because they have limit, so they appear very insignificant in front of the ocean which is unlimited. Although Sri Krishna's great mercy is like an ocean, this compassion that consists of his innate potency never takes a seat in the hearts of those who are proud of their wealth, connections, or birth, dhan jana abhidhan, or what is that particular word for that? Abhijat. Abhijat means the place of birth, or the dynasty in which one takes birth. One can be very proud of one's high birth, or proud of one's wealth, and proud of one's connections. Oh, I have connection to this person, that person. So, how to come out of that? Because although Krishna is unlimited, great mercy like an ocean, but that mercy never becomes manifest in the heart of those who are proud of their wealth, connections, or birth. Hence, Sri Narottam Thakur says, Adhama Janara Bandhu Mohe Prabhu Karo Avadhana. You are the friend of those who consider themselves very fallen. Adhama. O Lord, you are the friend of the fallen, and I am also very fallen. Hence, I am worthy of receiving your compassion. Please think of me once. Please notice me once at least. So from these prayers of Narottam Das Thakur, the practitioner can learn that those who are on the path of devotion must give up all pride of their physical condition, physical achievement, so called. Must give up all pride of their physical condition and become means consider oneself fallen, consider themselves fallen if they wish to receive the mercy of Sri Guru, Vaishnavas, and Supreme Lord. Because these are the three channels of mercy. Of course, the channel which comes across us, or which is perceivable directly by us, is the Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. No? So, whatever way we have to, in order to attract, in order to receive, in order to become the recipient of that compassion of Krishna, one has to think of oneself, fallen, low, fallen, wretched, despicable, insignificant, are some synonyms for the word adham. Adham means fallen. Because only then one can become the receptacle. If a person is not hungry or not thirsty, or does not feel destitute, how he can beg? Something is made available only by begging. So one should beg only for that thing which can be made available only through begging. But people end up begging from Krishna something which they can get, otherwise also. Because material things and material objects of sense gratification, Krishna has provided for all of them. So why one should pray to Krishna for material objects of sense gratification? Rather, one should beg Krishna only for that which cannot be made available by any other means. Although the devotee is the vessel of all good qualities, he thinks himself to be very fallen and low. This is the paradox. Because if a devotee is obsessed with his good qualities, and if he thinks that he is so elevated, then he won't be able to beg. No? We discussed the other day, Mangan se marna bhala ye sadguru ki sikh. One should avoid begging. Who likes to beg? Correct? To become a beggar. But begging what? So one who becomes a beggar for the mundane things, material things, he's considered very undesirable position. No? It's a beggar, anybody. But when it comes to begging the real thing, so if those who have this that pride that we have wealth, why should we beg? We have this high birth, why should we become a beggar? Why should we become a beggar? But when it comes to pure devotional service, we must beg. So who are bereft, who are not used to begging? Those who are proud of their wealth, proud of their connections, and proud of their birth and all these things, they remain deprived. So to attain the platform of pure devotional service, one should learn to become a beggar, and one should feel that although we may have high birth and wealth and all these things, but we are bereft of the real thing. And that real thing can be achieved only through begging. So every person, no matter what one's background, when he joins the path of this pure devotional service, he is given the training, or he appreciates the training to become a beggar proper beggar, or real that beggar will beg only the real thing. So although the devotee is the vessel of all good qualities, he thinks himself to be very fallen and low. This becomes manifest through Bhagavad Bhakti only when one is touched by the sublime nature of pure devotion. Then he feels that how fallen and low one is. He becomes manifest. This attitude of feeling oneself fallen and low, this becomes manifest through Bhagavad Bhakti, which is the mine of all good qualities. Hare Bhaktasya, Yashyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana Sarvair Gunaistatta Samaste Sura. When the pure devotional service touches the heart of the living entity, then all the good qualities become manifest. Because Bhagavad Bhakti is the mine of all good qualities. The reason for this is that by nature, the individual soul is not an independent principle. We don't exist on our own. We don't exist independently. We are dependent on the super soul, supreme soul. and subdued by time, activities and attributes of the false phenomenal world. So our position is always dependent being. Even here we are dependent on all the things. We are dependent, control under the subjugation of time, and it is dependent. So we are all dependent on the Supreme Soul, correct? And by the control of the Supreme Soul, we are under the control of the material energy also, subdued by time, activities and attributes of the false phenomenal world. When by the grace of the saints, the conditioned soul takes shelter of the path of devotion, he becomes aware of this secret in their company, that we are all dependent beings. We cannot get away from the dependence of Krishna. So something which is inevitable, then why not make the best use? If we have to, if we realize, we appreciate, we should be able to appreciate that yes, by becoming dependent on Krishna, we can gain ultimate independence. That's the point. If one really wants to become independent, then one has to appreciate and one has to imbibe the dependence, exclusive dependence on Sri Krishna. And this happens when, by the grace of the saints, the conditioned soul takes shelter of the path of devotion. He becomes aware of this secret in their company. And he cherishes the thought that, oh, I'm dependent on Krishna in order to become independent of all other so-called agents. Of course, this is all arrangement of Krishna. The ultimate all arrangement is to cause the living entity to become appreciative of that we are dependent on Krishna. So when spiritual knowledge awakens, he or she thinks himself or herself to be unqualified. Wow! If knowledge awakens, the nature of, if one gets the knowledge, one becomes qualified, correct? But see the paradox, when spiritual knowledge awakens, he or she thinks himself or herself to be unqualified and unable to perform any activity. Wow! That is the acknowledgement of our utter dependence. Since he has lost the false sense of doership, then we don't think that we are a doer. So how far we are enlightened or blessed with spiritual knowledge? Because when spiritual knowledge awakens, he or she thinks himself or herself to be unqualified and unable to perform any activity. One does not take the pride, takes the pride that I did it. Since he or she has lost the false sense of doership, then he experiences the powerful management of the Lord and surrenders to his lotus feet in all respects, considering himself to be very low and fallen. This is called dainya. Dainya means humility, and is the treasure of all the devotees' practice. The perception of unlimited causeless mercy of Krishna, when perceived, then one feels very, very meek and humble. And this feeling is the treasure of all the devotees' practice that will swiftly attract the Lord's mercy on them. In the definition of Jatarati sadhakas, means practicing devotees that have awakened their dormant love for Krishna. Amazing. See the tremendous paradox being expressed here. Only when one has when dormant love has awakened in the heart of a devotee, that goes jata. Jata means taking birth or manifest. Rati means love. So in those devotees in whose heart the, has awakened the dormant love for Krishna, they think like that. Although they have attained the highest position, sarvottama apana ke hina korimani. Actually, what else is needed? If the pure love is awakened in the heart of a devotee, sadhaka, what else is needed? Means he has attained the highest status. But when one has actually attained this highest status of the love of God awakened in his heart, he thinks himself to be very low. He considers himself to be low. See the paradox? But as long as the love has not manifest, awakened in one's heart, sadhaka may think of himself as very high. See the paradox? Only when one has attained that highest stage, only when love of God has manifest in his heart, awakened in his heart, he thinks of himself as very low. Why? Because then the hankering for Krishna, then he realizes the pricelessness of Krishna. So if you perceive the pricelessness of anything, then we are drawn to it. Just by hearing that something is priceless doesn't mean that we have realized that it is priceless. Only when the love of Krishna manifests in one's heart, one perceives the pricelessness of Krishna. But because of that love and attraction, now he hankers to attain Krishna. In order to hankering for Krishna, he feels his incapacitatedness to attain Krishna. Then in destitute, in desperation, he cries out, "Oh Krishna, become the object of my vision." Just so the paradox we have to appreciate. Only when we will become blessed with the love awakened in our heart, we will be able to appreciate the pricelessness or the unlimitedness of Krishna's beauty, attraction, etc. So that devotee, practicing devotees, in whose heart the dormant love has become awakened, they think, although he is the greatest, he is the best, he considers himself to be low. So Sri Nautamdas Thakur in conclusion says, "O Lord, please remember once how low and fallen I am." As if Sri Krishna says, "Oh, should I remember you for some reason?" Then he will answer, "Padhinu asat bhole kam timing gile gile, ohe nath koro paritrana." I have fallen in a ditch of false desires and I am swallowed by the whale of lust. O Lord, save me. Just as, you know, same word, asat bhole, temptation for unwanted material desire. Just as in the previous Sloka, Nautam Das Thakur has again in this Sloka spoken asat bhole. When we study the order of the different parts of the word, we may think, considering asat meaning false, perishable bodily objects to be sat or real. In a conditioned state, what happens? Different parts of the world, asat, and thus being deluded. Asatere satya kari mani. That's a delusion. We have been observing and dealing with temporary, perishable things, but because of our bhole means temptation, attraction, infatuation for all these things, we consider those perishable, temporary things as real, as eternal. That's our situation. That's why I say when we study the order of the different parts of the world, asat bhole, we may think, considering asat meaning false, perishable bodily objects to be sat or real, and thus being deluded, fall into a ditch of delusion. From such delusion comes the idea that physical conditions are. So here the word delusion, both ways, delusion and illusion. Delusion, deluded one becomes due to influence of other things, factors. And illusion, one is very consciously, you know, very consciously making mistake. In delusion, one makes mistake under the influence of the things, like influence of narcotics or influence of something, influence of distraction. So from such delusion or illusion comes the idea that physical conditions are real, which makes the people who have forgotten their intrinsic position, yearn for money and other things. They become so obsessed with this that they cannot understand that these things are temporary and miserable. Even if they heard hundreds of instructions on that, thus they spend their whole lives searching their lusty desires. When we consider the actual form of this body, which is the object of our lusty desires, the abode of our lusty desires, we see the nature of this material body. The picture is drawn, and we should, although nobody wants to think like that, but unless we become aware of the reality of the things we are so obsessed or infatuated with, we will never be able to come out of it. That's why fools yearn to enjoy a body which is filled with foul things like stool, urine and worms, and which naturally stinks. But the wise men are not attached to such a repulsive body. There is also the following description elsewhere in the scriptures. It says, this body is full of sores, wounds, This body is full of sores, enveloped by a stinking skin, filled with hundreds of worms and smeared with stool and urine. It assumes different forms according to the different ages or stages of life, and will certainly perish sooner or later, but still due to attachment to delusion. This body is the cause of all kinds of yearnings for sense enjoyments. Despite all these straightforward true instructions, we consider this body to be me. Wow. Despite all these straightforward true instructions on about the nature of this body, we consider this body to be me. Wow. This is called asat bhole. This is called temptation of something which is really not worth it. Not to be fascinated by temporary, So despite all these straightforward true instructions and information about our body, we still consider this body to be me. This is called asata bhole, the temptation of the temporary, and considering false things to be true. The root cause of this is our strong conditioning to the life of lusty desires. Sri Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur says, these strong lusty desires are swallowing me like a Timingila whales. Timingila is such big whales in the ocean. The whale is the whale in the oceans. Whale is the ocean's largest aquatic being. But an aquatic being who could even swallow the whale, Timi. Timi means whale. And Timingila means that devours even that. But an aquatic being who could even swallow the whale is called Timingila. It is lusty desires that swallow me like a Timingila whale. This shows the power and dread caused by lust. So this in this ocean of material existence, our position is like a whale. We think that we are very capable to cross over or reach the shore, but this lusty desires of the lust is compared like a Timingila hell, which has been swallowing us since eternity again and again and again. So this shows the power and dread caused by lust. An insignificant human being is unable to defend himself against its grip. Hence it is said, Ohe nahat koro paritrana. Please, O Lord Sri Krishna, you alone are strong enough to protect me from the grip of this powerful lust. Therefore, please save me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So I think I will stop here. Still we can have some interaction. If anybody has any question, comment or something which is not clear, or please come forward. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Hari. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru, Dandavat Pranam, Shri Guru. All your satsang, Shri Guru, they are a complete package, complete from all perspectives, Shri Guru. Like this Sloka in particular is a clear reality check for me and overall. And it's beautiful, Shri Guru, how you package in each and every session, each and every sharing. Doesn't matter Prema Bhakti Chandrika or from whichever literature, but the way you package it for our sadhana avastha and taking us all to the siddha avastha is remarkable, Shri Guru. Shri Guru, on this claiming is bondage and acknowledgement is liberation. This thing, Shri Guru, claiming other than claiming for seva is bondage, but for seva I should be claiming more and more seva and also be very, very careful in my seva from all perspectives.
We, we, uh, we don't claim anything actually. Even for seva, we acknowledge this mercy. So how can we, when we acknowledge that we have this mercy received, how can we lose it? Why should we lose it? So we want to protect the mercy. They also claiming means that I'm superior, I'm better, or I'm qualified, anything. So the sense of claiming comes only with a sense of accomplishment or sense of qualifiedness. So our qualification, our true qualification only that we develop the sense of constant acknowledgement and zero claiming. To sustain this acknowledgement of mercy, we safeguard the opportunity given to us to perform some service. Because the mercy or the opportunity for service is so rare. So there also, it's not by sense of qualification, but a mercy, sense of mercy. Mercy we are hankering. So if the mercy comes in our life, how can we let it be snatched or stolen by anyone else or cause the deprivation? Of course, mercy can be also distributed and shared, no doubt about it. So sometime somebody may be very greedy, and that's why it may appear that one is claiming that mercy. Yes, mercy has to be imbibed, mercy has to be utilized. No? Is mercy cheap? No, mercy is priceless. So if somebody is hankering for mercy, so then those who receive the mercy, those who become blessed with the mercy, they also demonstrate that magnanimity or the liberalness. So when Krishna sees that devotee is not claiming mercy even, because I'm qualified, no, it's the causeless mercy, and it can be shared. So those who will have sharing nature, yes, if we acknowledge that we receive so much mercy, although more mercy is yet to come, but whatever mercy we have received, we should not become miserly, not to share it. We can share, and by sharing we will not claim that only I got the mercy. Through us, others can also get the mercy, correct? Krishna has Sri Guru and Vaishnavas, they are the avenues through which Krishna distributes his mercy. So we have a role to share with others. No? Why should we be miserly? The miserly person tends to or ends up claiming something. This is mine, correct? So if this, in service, others can be engaged, and we can also make them the recipient of Krishna's mercy. It is not my mercy that I am sharing with you. It is the mercy bestowed upon me by Krishna or Sri Guru or others. Can I claim anything to be mine? My mercy? No. Krishna's mercy can be shared with others. But the consciousness has to be watched. In the name of sharing mercy with others, then one develops to become free from the opportunity or free from the possibility, free from performing seva, oneself. One has to be more and more greedy to perform seva. But the whole idea is that when Krishna sees that our attitude of sharing mercy with others, then he showers more mercy. So there is no dearth of mercy coming from Krishna. So claiming never remains. In claiming, one puts oneself in a proves that he is superior or higher. No, we have to constantly be in a position to beg for more mercy, more mercy, more mercy. That would do. 100% acknowledgement, zero claiming. So acknowledgement is liberating and claiming is bondage. Choice is yours. Choice is ours. All right.
Shri Guru. Paramtam Adbhut Shri Guru. Koti Pranam Shri Guru.
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. All right. So we have English rendering with you know how many, 7 participants? That's a huge number, correct? 7 manifest, correct? How many invisible? It's very easy to become unaware of them, na? We are all dependent, we are all watched over. And the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that it causes our constant awareness. We have to remain constantly aware that we are watched over. We cannot skip. We cannot escape from the from being watched. And that way we can always remain progressive, and we can always be in samadhan. Samadhan means in resolve as far as the external circumstances and situations are concerned. We are under the watch of the divine. Huh? What else we need to know? Remember, if one forgets that one is under the watch, one is being watched by the divine, by the supreme, then one may get lost and worried and concerned about who else is watching me, who else is hearing me, correct? Then I may be under trap of only 7 are watching me, only 7 are listening to me, correct? But ultimate purpose of this culture of Krishna consciousness is to cause incessant awareness in us that we are being watched by the divine. That alone will free us. That alone will free us from the trap of remaining engrossed here. Our awakening that we are always under the watch of the divine. That is the purpose of this culture. All right, then we'll join you all in less than 1.5 hours in Kirtan. Anything else? Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Hari.
Never ever Shri Guru feel or felt or thought even that there will be any charm in such paradoxes. But it's only hearing from you, Shiguru, in this satsang and every satsang, within satsang, outside of satsang, that we have to give up all knowledge of this. Claiming has to go 0% and acknowledgement has to come 100%, Shiguru. All these paradoxes, they form the real charm to practice Krishna consciousness, to become a pure devotee of the Lord, to serve Shri Guru and Shri Gaurang Shri Guru. Koti Koti Pranam Shri Guru.
We have to, the spiritual fortune is that we have to have at least one person who we let prevail over us, and that way, if uh, if he reminds us of our being illusion or delusion, then we stand good chance to come out of it, because in the illusion and delusion state, a person becomes so obsessed with one's judgment, is right. He doesn't know, illusion or delusion person doesn't know that he is wrong. That's the definition of illusion and delusion. A person in illusion, does he think he's wrong? He's very consciously making the wrong decision, thinking that it is right. That's illusion, correct? Knowingly, or what is that? Asatere satya kari mani. Asate satya kari mani. So that is the thing. So that's why our faith or confidence or in this in the spiritual person, in the Vaishnavas, in the spiritual master, that if he reminds us that we are in illusion, then we stand good chance to come out of it. Because one may not see oneself, as we say that one see others, one may not see oneself, one may not see one's own shortcomings and faults. So we should have one person in our life at least who we allow to prevail over our judgment. That would be a tremendous thing. But illusion and delusion, they are so powerful that it just clogs one's vision, one's intelligence, and everything. That's why sadhaka is begging Krishna, Sri Guru and Vaishnavas, please protect me. Even I do not know how much in trap I am. So this begging for our ultimate good is very essential. Okay, Amanda and Andrew. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shri Guru Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Swami.
Thank you so much for such a relishable satsang again. Never fails to amaze, but I'm not surprised. It's always more and more relishable each time. I've been wondering, Shri Guru, for so many years, I feel like I've been, and to a great degree even still now, but for so long, depriving myself of being able to acknowledge anything, even under the guise of spiritually seeking. Still, I'm wondering, why is it that that we're miserly in receiving?
Because we are filled up with filled up with all so many unwanted. So we don't have sufficient space for receiving more, or the real thing, So many unreal asat things, they have captured all the space, all the capacity of receiving, And so we have to empty out so many asat temptations and aspirations and hankerings. It's difficult, very difficult. Krishna is doing his part, but Krishna is like a dormant or inspiring the intelligence, dadami buddhi yogam. But mere guidance of our intelligence is not sufficient to make the full circle of surrender. Only intellectual appreciation, intellectual inspiration is not sufficient until our heart is moved. So who can cause the heart to move? That would be the full difference. When heart is moved, then everything moves, correct? If our intelligence is appreciate something that's good, then still we may not be so inclined to make the sufficient move. And that's why who can move our heart? Then under that person's direction, everything can move. All unwanted things can lose our grip on them. That's possible only through that inspiration of the heart. So if we have the appreciation or the faith in someone to that level, then in no time or very soon, magically we will feel that our capacity of receiving the real thing, so much space has been created now. Because we no more hold on to or keep the grip on the unlimited or unwanted things. So that is the only solution. Otherwise mere appreciation through intelligence is not sufficient. Only change of heart would suffice. And in order to cause a change of heart, that's why we appreciate the shelter and direction of someone rather than being directed by our intelligence. Right? We are mostly very proud of our intelligence, but we then follow our intelligence only. And intelligence it changes again, but when our heart is drawn to something, then the real change comes. Or full change can come only when our heart is changed. And the change of heart is possible only by the effect or influence of a person in our life. when we get the capacity, we become empowered to quit on the unwanted and we gain the readiness to receive the real thing. All right? That's the only way.
Thank you so much, Sri Guru. I pray to receive your blessings and your mercy so that I may become eligible to be accepted and to step onto this sacred path and to make my life useful.
Yeah, this is the opportunity for all of us. And this present opportunity in this lifetime is the best opportunity since eternity. Apparently, there may have been better situations in previous lives, but they are of no avail. We could not. We blew them all, nah? But
Yes.
we have come this far in this present lifetime, and we can be so close to our destination and feel so close in the sense that we can hanker for it. Hankering is so rare to be able to hanker for the real thing, which we could never have it, you know. And hankering is having it on the spiritual path. Hankering tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. Without hankering, we can never have it. So, hankering can be developed through association. You know, hankering is like a contagious disease, you know, contagious thing. You become infected with hankering for the real thing. When we associate with those in whose heart the hankering for the divine is manifest, if we associate through service mood and service attitude, and we can become blessed with the infection of that hankering. You know. And that's why we marvel the association of those who are situated in that consciousness of hankering, ultimately to attain the maid servanthood of Srimati Radharani, hankering for the service of Radharani's lotus feet, you know. And that hankering or that desire can free us, has the capacity to free us from all the unwanted desires and things which have been hoarded, which we let them get hoarded in our system. Param Drishta Nivartati. Ultimately, the answer to every problem is that how we can, only by the replacement of the higher thing, higher vision, or higher, better thing, we can lose the infatuation of the thing which are temporary and temptational, you know. The temptation for the temporary we will lose only by we become enlightened of the fascination of the superior higher thing. So this aspiration or the very picture, this very contemplation of we attaining the status of becoming a choicest maid servant of Srimati Radharani, this sublime thought and contemplation is so uplifting and so raising our consciousness that we'll lose the hold over those which are so not so desirable anyway. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Sri Guru.
Sri Swamini Mate Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Hari. All right. Hmm?
We all chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra minimum 3 times for the divine pleasure of our Shri Guru. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. With all love, we chant Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sat Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki
Jai,
Jai.
Jai, Jai.
भावेत निताय गौर गोविंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
Hari Hari Bol. Pranam Shri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Nasi Swamini Matis to everyone निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 हरि
Pranam Shri Guru, Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna, Shri Guru, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Sri Swamini Matis so in just just about 1 hour we'll join you all in Kirtan. Alright?
Hare Krishna, Sri Guru Dandavacana.
Hare Krishna Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna Sri Swamini Matirastu. See you again just in 1 hour. Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Hari